got news for you. I'm Coren Mitchell. In the news this week, during lunchtime drinks at the Conservative Party conference, Therese Coffey attempts to dispel the myth that the government couldn't organise a piss-up in a brewery. Emmanuel Macron saves himself at the 11th hour after realising that Camilla had a packet of scampi fries on the train to Paris. And in Stockport, the man who's been putting dog excrement through Angela Rayner's letterbox is caught on camera. On Ian's team tonight is a comedian who describes himself as Spain's best export. And with post-Brexit import fees, we were lucky to afford him. Please welcome Ignacio Lopez. On Paul's team tonight is a writer and broadcaster who has a pilot's licence and is aiming to one day fly solo around the world. Sounds tough, but it's easier than getting from Birmingham to Manchester by train. Please welcome Carol Vorderman. We begin with the bigger news stories of the week. Ian and Ignacio have a look at this.
Oh, yes. Hi, I'm Prime Minister. Yeah, I am.
That's the annual handing out contracts to Mates Festival?
That's the next Prime Minister. God.
That's where they want to take us back to?
And no one will sit next to her.
I think that seat was reserved for a head of lettuce.
Where do you want to start?
Well, why don't we start with the warm-up for the Prime Minister? Did you see that? He was warmed up by his wife?
Yes, usually you're introduced by a colleague or a friend, but that's obviously not going to happen. This time, Rishi decided he'd get his wife to come on, and she came on and said, he's a really good bloke, he's decent, he's honourable, and you thought, this is the Conservative Party, this isn't going to work. Should have come on and said, look, he's a pathological liar, he's completely economically illiterate, vote for him, and they'd have been screaming on their feet.
She did actually describe him as my best friend.
Oh. Yeah, she said we're one team, which will interest the revenue.
And what was the big announcement that he had to make?
That he's still Prime Minister 1 year on.
The big thing they're going to do, or perhaps not going to do.
Is it something to do with HS2, by any chance? Yeah?
Yeah.
Because they're following on their policy, stop the boats and also the trains.
This was amazing, no? They went to Manchester to announce that they're not going to take the high-speed train to Manchester. I mean, the implication, presumably, well, we've been here now, we won't need to come again. Is there anything good to be said about that decision?
I think it's quite a good decision. I mean, for years we've been saying this is a colossal waste of money. It's staggering, the mismanagement. It is a colossal failure in cost management, so I'm quite happy to scrap the lot.
What, the Conservative Party?
They sort of announced, OK, we're not going to do this. We said we were going to do it, but we're not going to do it. But here's a whole bunch of schemes that we are going to do.
But then so many of the schemes that they announced on the Wednesday we've found already exist, like extending the tram system in Manchester to Manchester Airport, which actually opened in 2014.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
It's a bit safer, isn't it, announcing things that have already happened?
They're not even sure that it will reach London.
No.
So they might not get to Euston. You'll have to sort of speed from Birmingham and get up and walk the last 4 miles.
It's a £36 billion saving, apparently.
Yes.
They said, we'll extend the West Midlands Metro, we'll build the Leeds tram, electrify the North Wales main line, upgrade the A1, A2, A5, M6 and the A75, at which point someone shouted house.
He was desperately trying to do politics, which isn't really Sunak's strength, which was to try and save the big announcement for himself, which meant that he had to spend 3 days effectively lying.
Well, the Sun newspaper, for some reason, described the high-speed rail link as the woke HS2. So I thought we might play a game of woke, broke, or having a smoke.
You you serious about this?
Oh, yes. Here's the first one.
OK.
It's science. It's the concept of science.
Well, it's broke.
No, it's woke.
Oh, this was a fringe meeting about whether the Earth was flat. Yeah, science, woke, blob, libtard, left. Something.
Do you know, if somebody invented a robot that looked like Ian, it would behave like that.
Let's try another one. What's this?
Going for a smoke. Smoked meat.
It's not smoke.
Is it veganism?
And what would that be, do you think?
Well, that's woke as heck, isn't it?
I mean... This is fake meat.
Oh, right.
Have you heard about this? Here's some actual fake meat. And what's wrong with fake meat, do you think?
I'm sure I've seen British people floating on these in Spain and
This is the tax on meat, is that right?
Whose policy is that?
Well, it's like all these things. They're not saying there's going to be a tax on meat. That was just made up.
Shall we have a look at Claire Coutinho, this season's Energy Secretary, talking about it on Sky News?
You said it's no wonder Labour seems so relaxed about taxing meat. So Keir Starmer doesn't eat it, and Ed Miliband is clearly scarred by his encounter with a bacon sandwich. Did you write? You didn't write that, did you?
I did actually write that. I think, you know, it's good to have a light moment in your speech as well. But the point is actually...
They're not proposing a meat tax.
The point is actually very serious. So some of the things that Labour are proposing are incredibly hard for working families. So whether you have things like...
meat tax? That's what you're saying here.
Well, so the point is... They are proposing things which are pushing families too hard. So you've got things like the ULEZ tax expansion, which does cost families £12.50 a day.
Meat tax, is it?
But that is very difficult. And they've got things like proposing that you would decarbonise the electricity grid by 2030 again, which would result in very difficult choices for families.
Meat tax. Genuinely, there isn't a meat tax.
It does seem the Conservatives constantly leave a massive open goal, and Keir Starmer's just kind of behind it, vaping and playing Wordle.
But that's Labour's main policy. We're not Conservatives. It's quite
It's a great policy, eh?
Would you like to see Michael Gove jogging?
No.
No, we say no.
But it's part of the quiz, because I want to know, is he woke, broke, or having a smoke? Let's have a look.
Come on, then. I think the answer is he's having a stroke.
Lord above.
I don't know what he's got in his left-hand pocket, but you ought to see a doctor about that. Pointing the way to Chichester.
I'm sure I read somewhere that he was caught having a fag on the balcony in the hotel and it wasn't allowed or something.
Exactly right.
Oh,
so,
yes!
He was having a smoke. How is smoking going to get more difficult for young people?
Because they're going to start banning people from buying cigarettes when they're 14 and they'll increase it every year.
Well, I think that's the plan, isn't it? The idea is not to be too cruel to people that smoke already. They'll raise the smoking age every year, so you're sort of chasing it and people that are 14 will never get... They haven't said if they're going to do the same with the pension age.
It was also noted that he hadn't banned vaping, and it's nothing to do with the £300,000 donation to the Tory party from someone who has a vaping company. Nothing to do with that at all.
What, are you saying that the cigarette companies haven't given them more? That's pretty
point.
shocking.
It is.
Would you like, and I would think carefully before you answer this question, to see Priti Patel and Nigel Farage enjoying themselves?
No.
Yes.
I mean, brace yourselves. This is a tough
won't
watch.
be able to unsee it.
OK,
Here we go.
All right.
Yeah.
It's not often you see a double Nazi salute, is it? You can see one of those.
Was that the Liz Truss event, the growth event?
No, it's the GB News Disco.
Lord.
Although they did go to Liz Truss's event. What was that called?
I've learnt nothing.
Yeah, Let's Make Britain Grow Again, that was called.
Let's remove this growth. Has this woman no shame?
The conference did last longer than her premiership. So.
But why is Nigel Farage there? What's he doing at the conference? What does it mean?
Well, he's taken over the party.
Some people say he's going to be leader. He's going to become...
No.
Leader of
No,
what?
I
Well,
can't
of the
see
Conservative
that.
Party. He'll come in as leader.
You're just trying to scare people late at night.
It's the charisma. It's the sort of froggy charisma of the man.
No.
This is what's being said, and I tell you what, some Conservatives are delighted because of his electoral attributes. How did this man, Gawain Towler, former UKIP aide, how did he explain Farage's appeal?
Well, first of all, he was very annoyed because he was raised from the dead.
This is the poster boy for Rishi's anti-smoking campaign, all right? This is what he's doing.
It's quite the turn of phrase. He explained Nigel Farage's appeal. Brace yourselves. He told the Politico website, Nigel Farage has this unerring ability to touch the clitoris of public opinion.
Can we get 5 buckets? Oh, my God.
Let's cleanse our palates with thoughts of the Lib Dems. Of course, they had their conference last week. Ed Davey has been working hard, as they often do, at his visual gags.
Yes.
Prepare yourself for some excellent visual humour. Let's have a look.
Oh, what's going to happen?
Well, what's that? It's like somebody's run over a cuckoo. What is that? You see on that picture there with the curtains behind, it's a bit like somebody, the doctor will see you now.
What do you think, Paul, of the great pantheon of silent comedians? Where would you put Ed Davey?
9th.
This is the Tory party conference where Rishi Sunak announced scrapping HS2. Leader of the House of Commons, Penny Mordaunt, made an impassioned speech saying, stand up, stand up, stand up and fight, until an annoyed Rishi Sunak shouted, I am standing up. Environment Secretary Therese Coffey has promised voters she'll do something about the mythical EU ban on bent bananas. Though, if you believe Suella Braverman, a lot of the bananas coming here are just pretending to be bent. Paul and Carol, take a look at this.
Yeah. Oh, yes, this is the Speaker, Kevin McCarthy, and that's Matt Gates, the man who brought him down. Don't know who that is. So, yes, Kevin McCarthy was sacked as the Speaker, the first time it's ever happened in American history. And he only got the job in the end because he said that he would agree to a clause that anybody could get rid of him at a moment's notice, which they did. It's a terrible mess. They're even suggesting amongst themselves that maybe Donald Trump could be the new Speaker.
He just needs to learn how to speak first.
But he lasted, I believe, 270 days
Yes.
thereabouts, which is about 5.5 Liz Trusses.
Yes.
That's not bad.
Long time.
I'm glad we got you on for the maths, Carol, because I wouldn't have been able to do that.
And do you know, while they wait to find out who the new Speaker is, who's doing it on a temporary basis, do you know?
I don't know, no.
No.
Patrick T. McHenry, this is him.
Yeah.
Rather a fun-looking chap.
He also came third in a Richard Curtis lookalike competition.
And what was special about his first bang?
Oh, he gave it a real wallop.
Well, let's have a look.
Chair declares the House in recess, subject to the call of the chair.
What on
Like the strengthometer of news.
Exactly.
That guy hates tables.
Why did McCarthy's party turn on him?
Well, because he supported Joe Biden's spending plan, I think.
Here they are. These are the Republicans.
Yes.
It's like the worst ever Panini album.
They're all Trump supporters.
Yes.
And it takes 8 of them basically to derail the US. And all those people say, why don't we have a government system more like the US? Well, this.
As you say, the Republicans want to replace McCarthy with...
They're floating the idea of Donald Trump, but, I mean, it's not going to happen.
Should we have a look at the kind of things he's been saying lately?
Yes.
Let's have a look.
There has only been, listen to this, one such whale killed off the coast of South Carolina in the last 50 years. But on the other hand, their windmills are causing whales to die in numbers never seen before. Nobody does anything about that. They're washing up on shore. I saw it this weekend. 3 of them came up. You wouldn't see it once a year. Now they're coming up on a weekly basis. The windmills are driving them crazy. They're driving the whales, I think, a little batty.
As always, hands all over the clitoris of public opinion. recently heard this. He doesn't like it.
You're assuming you'll be able to find that public opinion.
This is typical of the right wing, though. Like, Trump is saying that, you know, windmills are killing whales. And in the UK, the right wing is saying that the 20 miles per hour speed limit in Wales is killing whales. So, you know...
And what about his latest court case? According to The Times, he's been accused of fraudulently gaining over $1 billion on favourable business loans by vastly exaggerating the size of his properties. In one instance, he overestimated the size of a property by 200%. And what defence... Well, you're a mathematician, Carol. How was this explained by Trump's lawyers?
He's an idiot.
No, they explained, which I hadn't realised, the calculation of square footage is a subjective process. The dangerous thing about the Speaker class is it might be a problem for funding Ukraine. What key bit of kit did the UK recently send to Ukraine to be used in the war effort?
Was it a sausage?
No, but it is bendy.
Bendy bus.
Yes, 3 of London Luton Airport's bendy buses have gone to the Ukrainian front line. Here's one on location.
Oh, I get the idea. It's to fool the Russians that they're heading the wrong way. Look, we're in Luton. We're just going to go back that way again. Look. Although we're near Ukraine, we've come the wrong way. We'll be in Bedford before you know it.
Bus operator Go Ahead told The Telegraph these vehicles have done years of duty shuttling Luton Airport holidaymakers. So they're more than ready for life in a war zone. This is the historic voting out of US Speaker Kevin McCarthy. Despite a Republican attempt to block aid going to Ukraine, the US sent 1.1 million bullets to the country, which should make American schools slightly safer for a couple of days. So to round 2, the picture spin quiz. Fingers on buzzers, teams. Paul and Carol.
Oh, no, this must be the Spurs versus Liverpool game and the failure of VAR to correct a referee's mistake. And everybody's got very upset about it, particularly in Liverpool, but that's what it's about.
Yeah, and I was furious.
Were you?
Let's have a look at the picture. Well, you can see, Ian, what's going on here, can't you?
It appears to be football.
Well, yes.
See, what it is... This match was played during a partial eclipse of the sun. You see half of the pitch is in the dark.
The point is, you can see that he's onside, but the goal was given offside and it went to VAR, and they upheld the decision and then realised their mistake was too late. And why did the VAR get it wrong? What are the theories?
Out having a fag or something like that?
People have pointed out that the Ryder Cup was in play at the same time.
Oh, no.
And they're wondering... Well, of course, episodes of Only Connect are also available at all times on iPlayer. They're even possibly watching something else. This is a theory, but we've actually got the audio of the VAR room. Would you like to hear it?
Yes, please.
Discussion.
So 2D line on the view.
And stop. Check complete. Check complete. It's fine. Perfect.
Yeah.
Off. Thank you, mate.
Wait. The on-field decision was offside. Are you happy with this?
Yeah.
Are you happy with this?
Offside goal. Yeah. That's what it does.
What?
On-field decision was offside. Are you happy with this image? Yeah, it's onside. The image we gave is onside.
Left back.
He's gone offside.
And it's an extraordinary high level of intellectual debate going on.
I know you feel strongly about it, Ian. I mean...
Yeah.
He supports Royal Engineers.
And do they have to swear?
They are being sponsored by...
Swear Fred 356.
That's it.
Yeah.
This is the controversial VAR offside, which happened in the recent Tottenham and Liverpool game. It has to be said that Liverpool's disallowed goal did see a rare moment of unity among other Premier League managers who all agreed that the decision was hilarious. In other sporting news, at the English Open Snooker Championships, China's Ding Junhui was penalised after playing in brown trousers rather than the required black. He did change from brown to black, but there was quite a delay, as first he had to put on blue trousers and then pink ones. Fingers on buzzers, teams.
Oh.
Ian and Ignacio.
Well, the COVID inquiry started again.
Yes, yeah. And what did we find out?
Well, the two major science officers of this country said that this man was chaotic and an idiot, which shows you that science does work.
Bloody woke science, man.
Yeah.
Just on the science, Patrick Vallance said no one in Number 10 or the Cabinet Office had really read or taken the time to understand the science. I think Boris Johnson was quite engaged by the science. I mean, here's the BBC's Hugh Pym explaining how Boris took the time to understand it.
A document on long COVID had been circulating, and it was said Mr Johnson had scrawled the word bollocks on it.
On a more general subject of inquiries and investigations, what have GB News been looking into?
Yes, so Lawrence Fox was on Dan Wootton's show and he said some terrible things about a female journalist called Ava Evans. And then there were lots of complaints and then Lawrence Fox was sacked, but Dan Wootton, apparently there's an internal investigation into Dan Wootton.
He's the most incompetent broadcaster because Lawrence Fox is saying this stuff and Dan Wootton is just sitting there giggling. He doesn't challenge it, he doesn't agree with it, he doesn't speak.
He just thinks it's funny.
More importantly, though, Carol, about Lawrence Fox, would you shag him?
So is Lawrence Fox not a Roald Dahl character?
No. See, I think I probably would, but that's no... Call me Gen X. A difference of opinion is no bar.
Who wouldn't you shag, then?
Well...
Not that I'm forming a queue or anything, but...
GB News obviously re-pitching itself as a serious news channel.
Yes.
And I think we could help them by showing one of the broadcast highlights of the summer. This is the news anchor Martin Daubney reporting on the capture. Remember that prisoner, Daniel Khalife? And he was captured, and this is top-notch news reporting.
But first, it's the news headlines. No, it's not. We're going straight to me. This is breaking news. It's fast happening. Because, as we just said, the terror man... It's here. Chip Chapman, we have him coming up soon on the arrest of the terror suspect. He escaped from Wandsworth Prison and he's been apprehended. It's all coming up in GB News. We've got our first guest. There he is, police of escape have arrested prisoner Daniel Khalife. Beg your pardon, we're getting the audio in the right place. This story is just happening. Joining me now for the latest is GB News Home Security editor Mark White. Are you there, Mark? It's Chip Chapman. We have Chip Chapman, for the Army anchor, former head of counter-terrorism, Major General Chip Chapman. Chip, dramatic breaking news.
I feel like we're watching him act out the VAR conversation for the Liverpool Cup.
You know, I don't think the mainstream media have got that much of a threat, do you?
This is the COVID inquiry, which has started to look into the inner workings of Number 10 during the pandemic. According to The Times, during the inquiry this week, it was revealed that Boris Johnson was nicknamed the shopping trolley because of his tendency to veer off in all directions. And because he wouldn't go anywhere until someone put money in.
That's very, very good.
Time now for the Missing Words round, which this week features as its guest publication the British Origami Society magazine.
Yeah, it's going to fold.
The bi-monthly publication devoted to the art of origami. Origami is Japanese from the words ori, time, and gami, waste of. And we start with the 100-metre sprinter wins race after what?
Running 100 metres.
After the runner's failed drugs test.
I'll take it. The answer is 100-metre sprinter wins race after all other competitors drop out when drugs officials arrive.
Wow.
This was during the Delhi Championships. One competitor got a personal best of just under 10 seconds for the 100 metres. Not bad for a swimmer. Next, man called what becomes bishop?
Bishop.
Correct. No, it is.
Is it?
Yeah, Mr. Bishop.
I thought it was Archie.
Man called the Make Me a Bishop hotline then becomes bishop.
The answer's already come up.
Paul is correct. Man called Mr. Bishop becomes bishop.
Mr. Bishop, see, look there. I'd call that more than a clue. That's more than a clue, that.
He won't be called Bishop Bishop.
Will he not?
No, he'll be called his first name. They're called Bishop Andrew. Or
Oh,
Bishop
yes, he will,
Simon.
won't he?
So my answer of Archie is interesting because
Archie.
he would then be called Bishop Archie.
Yes.
Anyway, I just bring it up as a...
After being consecrated in Thetford, the new bishop was visibly moved, presumably diagonally. Next, the editor of the British Origami Society admits that most of his folded animals, what?
Are dead. I've made out of paper. I've folded.
have been put down.
Yeah, you're both close. It is to do with being dead, but I can't give it. The editor of the British Origami Society admits that most of his folded animals look like roadkill. Origami is still hugely popular in Japan, even more so now, because if your effort turns out to be weirdly misshapen, you can simply claim it's a creature from the beaches at Fukushima. Dear Victoria, so you think that's an appropriate topic for humour, do you? There, I've saved you the trouble. And finally, Sweden holds competition to find what?
Any ugly people in Sweden.
Is it Norway?
Sweden holds competition to find ugliest lawn. According to the competition organiser, it is the cultural norm in Sweden to have a well-kept front lawn. Well, it certainly is in the films I've seen. So the final scores are Ian and Ignacio have 4, Paul and Carol have 6.
Oh, outrageous.
I'm really sorry. You were actually right every time you said that.
Before we go, there's just time for the caption competition. Ian and Ignacio have this.
Oh, look, there's the cost of living.
Are they saying, oh, we wonder what happened to Epstein's jet?
Paul and Carol get this.
Arts Council cuts hits the London Symphony Orchestra.
On which note, we say thank you to our panellists, Ian Hislop and Ignacio Lopez, Paul Merton and Carol Vorderman. And I leave you with news that in Washington, to counter the claim that he has no successor, Joe Biden meets some of the young Democrats coming through. At the Tory conference, one staffer whispers to a colleague, "Don't look round, but apparently that nutter Liz Truss is here somewhere." And as they tend to their first-floor window box, an elderly couple spot their son and daughter-in-law coming up the drive. Good night.
Checking possible wrong score. 6-4 to Ian on the board. That's fine. Check complete. Check complete.
Well done, boys. Good process.
Wait. On-field decision was 6-4 Paul. Yeah. Win for Paul.
That's wrong, Des. It should have been for Ian.
Delay. Stop the show. Delay.
I can't. We played on.